If I could tell you one thing that could really catapult your barbering career to the next level, would you listen? If I could tell you how to deal with the stresses of customer building, client building, learning new styles and crafts and skill sets within your craft, would you listen? Would you be appreciative of the information? Well, guess what? Here's the big thing that I have for you. I do have the answer. And you know what? It's pretty simple. The answer is very, very simple. It's embrace the change and the innovation. Embrace the change and innovation that you see around you. If you don't desire to be a historic figure or a relic, I will say, in a museum, you have to change with the times. Now, am I saying change like your style to match the new styles and no, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you know, maybe for you older barbers, maybe learning or figuring out a good cordless clipper may help you. See, because you think, oh, I'm going to stick with this and this is what I'm going to do and I'm not going to do anything different and this is how I do it. These are the tools that I like. Listen, I get it. I get it. But I will tell you that some of the innovations that have been made over the years really help. When I entered into the barbering world, it was all corded. Everything was corded. Do I sometimes have a desire to use corded clippers? Do I sometimes use corded clippers? Absolutely. Absolutely. When I switched over to cordless clippers, it was because of the fact that the other barbers in the shop that I was in were all predominantly using cordless clippers. About the only corded clipper that they still used or still had on their stations were trimmers. That was it. That was the only things that they had on there was trimmers. And so I switched over to keep up really with appearances. I couldn't be the one guy with the corded everything and they got cordless everything. Like, that's how I felt. Now, once I got into the cordless clippers, I had to learn about the clippers, about the motors, about the blades for certain clippers because, I didn't jump right into the big name brands of the Wall or the Andis or anything like that. I went with some lesser known clippers at the time. And so I had to go and I had to embrace the change and the innovation. Now I've found something that I liked. Right? And I think a lot of people don't give things a chance because initially they do not like them. They're like, oh no, I'm not going to use those. I don't like those things. Okay. I mean, I get that you don't like it initially, but did you give it a chance? Oh, I don't want to give it a chance. All right. I mean, that's fine, but the industry, like corded clippers were once the standard. Now, the corded clipper selection is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And honestly, I'll say this. The only people that really still have even a market in corded clippers are the big three. Oster, Andis, and Wall. They're the only ones. All of these other brands that are coming out, most of them aren't even wasting their time producing a corded clipper. And I'm not saying they would waste their time. They're not taking any time or any thought into producing corded clippers. And if they do, they have a very, very limited shelf life. Very limited shelf life. Meaning they might put them out, but they don't keep them in production because they're probably their lowest selling unit. So they don't keep them in production. Sorry. I apologize, guys. So they don't keep them in production. They just don't. Right? So you have to understand that change is going to happen. Change is going to come. Now, if you are, let's say, nearing retirement as far as being behind the chair, you know what? You may not want to change. And that's okay for some, but it's still not a bad thing to explore new things within your industry. Right? It's not a bad thing to explore those things. You know, and if you are still making a living, you know, if you're making a living from this, like you need to embrace the changes that are going on and happening in front of you. Right? We hear those arguments all the time of like, oh man, I'm not using no enhancements, no black spray. And listen, there are people who use black spray to an extreme. They use the enhancements. Sorry, I won't. They use the enhancements to an extreme, which I don't agree with. And then there are people who use it correctly, where you almost have to question whether or not that the hairline has been enhanced. Is it some enhancement? Maybe. I don't know. You know, like those are they're trends. Now, some of the trends I don't agree with. Now, the one I will say this, and I believe this: the one trend that I would never venture to even entertain is that white pencil thing. No way. Not for me. It's just not for me. That white pencil thing looks crazy to me. I don't know what's worse, the white pencil or the double hairline. The double hairline thing was probably one of the most disgusting things I have ever seen. And I'm so glad that it had a short shelf life because it was gross. I did that. It was just gross. I didn't care for it. I thought it was just weird. Like, you know, for barbers who preach, like, don't, you know, we're not pushing people back and everything like that. When you're cutting into your hairline, and we know the hairlines are very delicate, they're very delicate, right? And they can, when they start to recede, you see it in the hairline. And so I just could never wrap my mind around how or why anybody would intentionally risk damaging someone's hairline. I couldn't get into it. That the white pencil thing, I mean, I don't understand what they're trying to portray there, you know, but it won't be something that happens in my chair. I'm just being honest. So if any of you guys is thinking like, oh, I want to refer, that one's not one of those ones that I'll do. I cut your hair. I'm not putting no white pencil in your head. I'm just not doing it. You know. But either way, guys, you have got to again you got to embrace the change. You've got to embrace the change, embrace the innovation, right? You need to be looking at where you need to look and understand where the styles, fashions, and trends are coming from and be aware and understand what may come to you. You know, when I started seeing the mullets coming back, I was like, oh man, the mullet's coming back. And from the time that I saw it you know, kind of a thing, I think it was probably 3 months or so before we saw one in the shop. And then once we saw it, it was there. You know, so when I'm saying stay ahead of the trends, I was looking at tutorials and things like that on how to cut the mullet and, you know, shaping and sectioning the mullet and the long style mullets and the short mullets. I was looking at all of that stuff, aware of that it was going to come. I wasn't blindsided when someone came into the shop and said, hey, I want a mullet. I wasn't blindsided by it. I knew that, and you know, the writing was on the wall. I knew it was coming. It was going to come. So, you know. But guys, like, embrace it. Like, lean into the discomfort of the change. And that goes for the barber in the shop and even the barber student. I had a conversation with a potential student today, and he was we're friends on social media, and I had noticed over Christmas he got a set of clippers for Christmas. And so when I ran into him, I said, hey man, did you get a chance to use those clippers yet? And he said, no, I didn't get a chance to use them. I'm too afraid to mess somebody up. My response to that situation, I said, dude, you're gonna mess people up. That's just a part of this game. Like it's going to happen. You're gonna give a bad haircut. And so if you're gonna let the fact that you're gonna mess somebody up deter you from this may like it. Yeah, it's natural. I get it. Oh, I could mess somebody up. Yeah, you could. Or you could do it right. You know what I'm saying? Like you could, or you could do it the right way. But if you don't do anything because you're too afraid to even try, attempt, or do it, then guess what? It doesn't get done. And the defeat or victory never it's you can never judge or never figure it out. Why? Because you took the victory away from yourself. You never even gave your chance a chance. You never even gave yourself a chance to win. You just automatically cut yourself out. I'm automatically a loser because I'm not even going to try. It's not how this works. It's not how this works. You're going to have to get your reps to improve what you are doing. Let me say that again. You're going to have to get your reps to improve what you are doing. It's as clear as I can make it. In your reps, you're going to make mistakes. I've been doing this as long as I have, and I still make mistakes from time to time. The difference between making mistakes when I was first starting out versus now is now I know how to fix them. I didn't always know how to fix them. I didn't always know how to fix them. But in the beginning, when I made mistakes and I was so frustrated and I tried my best to blend it in or hide the mistake and things like that, it was so rough. But see, now, because I understand and because I've learned the proper ways to even complete the haircut, complete the style, there's less chances of me making mistakes because I learned the system that goes along with it. I understand how to properly set up the haircut. I understand how to properly connect the top to the sides. Like all of those things came over time. In the beginning, I'll be honest with you, there were some days I was guessing. Or like I like to or like I would like to say, some days I was playing Simon Says. I would watch another barber do something, and then after they did it, I would go and try to do it. But I didn't have an understanding. I didn't have an understanding of what exactly it was that I was doing. But I got the understanding over the years. I embraced the change, and the change for me is that I needed a better skill set. But the better skill set didn't come through just repetitions. Although repetitions helped, what helped my repetitions was asking questions to those around me who I felt had mastered something that I was struggling with. That's what it is. Felt that people had mastered something, so I asked them questions. So that way, when I used when I used that technique, or I did whatever they asked in the reps, I could. I knew the thought process. I knew how to set it up. I knew what it looked like. Right, but that's embracing the change. You know, that's really embracing the change. Okay, but either ways, guys, don't be flat this year. Embrace the change, grow with it, figure it out, take on the stress, and keep pushing and moving forward. I'm proud of you guys for making it into 2024. We're here. Let's not waste another year being complacent on nonsense. Let's move forward. Let's develop. Let's grow strong. And let's really do this. Let's make 2024 your best year yet. Thank you guys for tuning in. This has been another episode of the Band of Barbers podcast. I'm your host, Devon Evans. Thank you again.